Hey there, everyone. It is Camber here with the Yo Pro No. Thank you all for joining and listening in today. I am here with Dr. Liz Johnson, 33-year-old general pediatric attendee in Detroit, Michigan. And she actually was connected to us. I always love talking about how each interview was connected to the next. Jonathan Yeagle, who you heard from a couple weeks ago, he lives in Nashville, Tennessee now. He connected us with Liz, and so I'm excited to be with you today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Of course, of course.
And how do you and Jonathan know each other?
So I've actually known John since we were in sixth grade or seventh grade.
Mhm.
And we have just been pals ever since. We went through to middle school, high school, and college together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys are best buds at this point.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and, speaking of your childhood, let's go ahead and get that background. So where are you from? Where'd you go to school? And kind of give us that brief background, and then we'll dive into those details.
Okay. So I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia, born and raised. I attended the University of Virginia in Charlottesville for undergrad, where I double majored in sociology and African American studies. But I was also pre-med. Went on to grad school in Philly at Drexel University, and then stayed for medical school there at the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. And then I went on to complete my residency in pediatrics in Detroit, Michigan at Children's Hospital of Michigan.
Great. That's very concise. Thank you so much for giving us that recap. So all in all, how many years of school was that for you?
I always joke that I've been in school since kindergarten.
Yeah.
That's what I always say, but realistically, so I took a pretty non-traditional route to medicine. So 4 years. Usually, it's just 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of medical school, and then a minimum of 3 years of residency, depending on your specialty.
Right.
I just added on those 2 extra years of grad school as well.
Mhm.
In addition to that, I also did a what we call a traditional or prelim year in between graduating from medical school and my pediatric residency. So I did a year of internal medicine. So yeah, it's been a long time.
Well, tell us about what you do now. And I'm glad that you brought that up because you a lot of us just know that traditional path.
Right.
I have many friends who are in their third and fourth year of med school now, and a lot of them are going on to their residencies just straight away. And so it's interesting to hear, the different paths that you can take within medicine. So thank you for sharing that. So tell us about what you're doing day to day now. What does that look like? You're in Detroit.
So I am a pediatrician. I am an outpatient pediatrician. So I am the person that you bring your little kiddos to see every day. So I take care of them from the minute that they come home from the hospital all the way up through college. Actually, some pediatricians stop. See, I don't know if you remember the last time you saw your pediatrician, but sometimes they're like, okay, you're 18, we cut you off. Me, I see my oldest patient is 22. So, right now that's what I'm doing. I'm taking care of the little critters out there. And it's been a little crazy, of course, with the pandemic. And people always say with pediatrics, you not just have the child as your patient, but the parents are your patients too. So
Yeah.
it's a little crazy right now, but that's okay. That's what I
Yeah.
signed up for.
Yeah, that's what you signed up for. You knew this. I'm glad you said that too, because what are you like looking back when you were in college, when you were really making the decision of what you were going to do with your life? Because in medicine, you do have to figure it out a little bit earlier because you have to take certain courses. What was it about this path that made you want to go into being in pediatrics?
I've actually always worked with children. No
Really?
matter what job I've had, I've always worked with kids. So I mean, it's like putting the round peg in the round hole, it just fits. So my parents always taught me to pick something that you're passionate about, and then it doesn't feel like you're working.
Right.
So I enjoy children.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's such a straightforward answer, and I love that because it doesn't have to always be this really difficult thing that we make it out to be. Of course, the caveat there is, well, a lot of the times it is really difficult to find that, and so I really applaud you for finding it when you did. Um, Looking ahead and seeing looking at others who might be interested in this industry, in this field, um, what is something that you would tell them? What pieces of advice would you have for people, one, in medicine, and two, specifically for those who are looking at working with children?
I think that I would say the same thing that my dad did. My dad is also a pediatrician, and so
Okay.
people always assume, oh, so your parents must have really encouraged you to do this. Actually, no, it was the opposite. My dad really wanted to make sure that it was something that was my decision because I think with medicine, not I think it's true, there are a lot of sacrifices and people don't know that. So missing, just huge life events or times with your friends because you're in the library studying or you have an exam or residency takes up just so much of your time. So it's something that needs to be your decision and that you need to really be dedicated and committed to.
Mhm.
Can't do it to please anybody else or you're going to be miserable.
Yeah.
In terms of, so that's one part of it. The second thing is that it really doesn't, going back to the non-traditional pathway, no matter how long it takes you to get to where you want to, that's okay. Like not everybody has to have the same path, but if you know like what you're passionate about and that God put that in you to like, hey, I really want to do this, then go for it.
Mhm.
I've had several people tell me no, like along the way, especially when it comes to peds. I remember very well. It was my third year in medical school, and I was on a rural rotation, and the attending asked me when I first got there, what do you want to do? What are you interested in? And I told them pediatrics. And at the end of the month, he asked me the same question, which I thought was a little strange because I was like, I haven't changed my mind.
Yeah, it's 1 month.
Right. And what he said to me was that, I think you should have a backup plan because you already have things against you. He told me, you're Black, you're a woman, and you're a DO. So you should really have something else. And I was like, wow, man, I'm Black. So I said to him, I was like, I did not know.
What?
My goodness. So I always just said to him, I was like, I've always had to, just know to work twice as hard with things. So
Mhm.
that's nothing to deter me at all. My parents
Wow.
made sure to tell me that, like, how many people are going to say no along the way, but
Mhm.
they aren't the authors of your life.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. I just can't believe that. I mean, that wasn't that long ago. I can't
Oh,
believe that somebody said that to you. But that is a really great lesson. Don't let people be the author of your life. Another Yo Pro I've interviewed quoted that, and I love that because at the end of the day, you're the one who's writing it and writing your story, and we'll get you from point A to point B. That guy is not getting you from point A to point B.
at all.
So good for you. I'm glad that you still made it into
Yeah.
the profession of your choice, and didn't listen to those people.
Yeah. So my other favorite thing to remember is that, there's this line from this church I used to attend in Philly. The pastor one day said, men's rejection is God's protection. And so sometimes when,
Mm-hmm.
doors are closed and someone says no, there's a window that's open. And you
Yeah.
never know how that works out in the moment in the midst of everything. It seems like a really, dark time or dark path. And then
Mhm.
you look back and you're like, wow, it was great that that door was closed because then I got to this place I'm at now. So
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest topics that has been mentioned in the hundreds of interviews that I've conducted now is all about rejection. And one of my favorite interviews was all about how rejection is redirection. And so it's the same thing that you just mentioned. I love that. So thank you for sharing that because it's been a while since we released a story with a firm message on that, and so I think that's really important. So thank you. Um, Another question that I would love to ask has to do with, where you thought you would be 10 years ago. I mean, you obviously knew who you wanted, like what you wanted to do and who you wanted to work with, but just the course of how your life has progressed and how it's laid out. Are you surprised at all?
I don't think I am. I think that I've always had that feeling of I am going to be an outpatient, um, a general, like pediatric outpatient physician. That's what
Mhm.
I've always felt. I knew it. I didn't know that it would always come true, but I felt like that was what I was meant to do. That was my purpose. That's how I was like, that's what I was put on here on this earth to
Mhm.
do, to make a difference.
Yeah.
But I didn't always know if it was going to work out. There have just been lots of times like that where everything was stacked against me, but
Hmm.
I still made it.
Yeah. I mean, I love to hear that. So congratulations, for all of you've done and all you've come. So how far you've come.
Mhm.
Um, I'm mindful of our time, so I do want to wrap up with a few final questions.
Mhm.
One thing I like to ask all of the people I interview is, a specific hardship that you have really overcome, and we've talked about a lot of them already. So, if there was one that you can think of, specifically over the last 10 years, in your young professional career, what would that be?
I think the biggest hardship, or that always surprises people, my I did the traditional year, which is like an intern year in internal medicine, like I said, and then I got into my pediatric residency, which I was so excited about, and it was crazy. But then at the end of that intern year, my best friend was killed,
Hmm.
and I I didn't know how I was going to just make it through the
Hmm.
residency. It was just, yeah, that was the hardest thing that I've ever done, was to wake up every day and to continue to go to work and to pour into other people and other families when you feel very empty.
Hmm.
Yeah, because we were like two peas in a pot, if
Yeah.
you ask anybody.
Wow.
That was probably the hardest thing, was just to keep going.
Hmm.
And when people ask me, I know I keep going back to this, but when people ask me, how are you still standing, or how did you get through it? And I'm like, I didn't carry myself through. I'm a big person of faith, and I am a firm believer that's the only reason why I'm still here. Or
Hmm.
the only reason why I finished residency was because I had my faith in God
Hmm.
at all.
Yeah.
Especially if people knew how close we were.
Hmm.
People were always shocked that I continue to come to work every day with a smile on my face and deal with, um, at the same time, when you're dealing with your own grief, then to go to work and see families that are grieving, right? Especially when you lose children, it's very hard. So that was very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. And, that is such a challenging thing. But again, we all are faced with these trials, and, not only in our young professional
Ignore the
life.
old school clock.
Oh, you're good. I know. I did hear that one. But like I said, this is conversational, so it's okay if we have a little background noise. Um, we all it trials don't just happen to young professionals. This is everyone deals with this, and so learning how to accept and face these challenges early on, really only helps you later in life. And I'm happy. It's very clear to me that you are in the right profession for you.
Mhm.
Um, and also just mentioning, your faith. That's something that definitely drives and motivates so many people, and everyone's motivations are different. People just have different ones, but I always like to hear how Yo pros are motivated, and I'm just really proud. I know we just met, but I'm proud of everything that you've accomplished, and I really just thank you for sharing your vulnerable story with us today.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you have any last minute words of advice today, Liz? I know we're
I just,
mindful of time.
again, if you have a passion that I feel like the Lord has put in your heart, don't let anybody deter you. You know, I'm like, I guess the biggest thing is that I remember there was a time in med school, I was on a rotation, and I was rotating at a pediatric hospital in Philadelphia, and attending at the time made this other medical student cry. Like, she just cried. He had told her she would never be in peds, that she couldn't cut it, and all these things. And she walked out weeping. And I literally took her by the hand in the bathroom, and I told her, you know what? He has no say over your life. If he, like, unless he got the printed manuscript of your life from Christ, he doesn't have any say over this.
Yeah.
So it does not matter what anybody says. They can say no all they want. But I know what I want to do, and I know I'm going to get there eventually. So
Right.
that's how I.
Well, I was about to say that's a really great way to end the interview, but I can't end the interview without asking, What's the funniest thing you've seen working with children? There's got to be some funny things.
Oh, my great googly moogly. Um, yo, kids are absolutely hilarious. They will tell you the truth no matter what. And one of my favorite things, I'm just thinking about the pandemic when everything first shut down. One of my favorite little kiddos, she was like, you really need a haircut. I can't see your eyes at all. And like you look like a shaggy dog. And I was like, what? And her
Oh
mom was
my
like, I am
god.
so sorry. And I was like, honestly, she's correct. She's 4 years old. She's telling me the truth. And I told her, you know what? You are right. Because guess what? My hairstylist is closed.
Right.
So you can't see my eyes right now. That like sticks out. But there are so many things that kids do on a daily basis that legit make me laugh.
Yeah.
I can't really pinpoint one, but that always sticks out to me.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, thank you so much, Liz, for joining us today. It's been really great getting to know you, and again, your passion is very clear.
Mhm. No problem.